Quote, "To do a thing which ought not to be done is to court trouble. To fail to do a thing which ought to be done is to land oneself in ruin." Meaning of the quote: to do a thing which ought not to be done is to court trouble. To fail to do a thing which ought to be done is to land oneself in ruin. This quote highlights two types of mistakes we can make in life and the consequences of each. Doing wrong causes problems, but not doing what is right can be even worse. It leads to destruction, failure, or moral emptiness. This quote reminds us that it's not enough to avoid mistakes. We must also act when life calls on us to do the right thing. Spiritual perspective. At its core, this quote speaks of conscious living and personal dharma, a life lived in harmony with moral and natural laws. Spiritually, the message is about discernment, the ability to know not just what to avoid, but also what to embrace and fulfill. The first part, doing what ought not to be done, is to court trouble, represents the obvious karmic law of cause and effect. When we knowingly commit actions that are harmful, dishonest, or against the flow of truth, we disturb the inner and outer harmony of life. These disturbances return to us as suffering or imbalance. These are not punishments but natural consequences. The second part, failing to do what ought to be done is to land oneself in ruin, is more subtle and perhaps more dangerous. It refers to neglected duty, moral cowardice, and inaction in the face of truth. Avoiding action when one clearly knows what is right is a denial of the soul's purpose. Spiritually, this is seen as a kind of self-betrayal. Over time, it leads to deep inner erosion, loss of integrity, meaning, and joy. Therefore, spiritual life isn't just about avoiding sin or mistakes. It's about courageous, right action, standing up, speaking truth, showing up, doing what is required, even when it's uncomfortable or uncertain. This is what leads to true inner peace and evolution. Scientific perspective. From a psychological and behavioral science standpoint, this quote aligns closely with findings about moral cognition, decision-making, and behavioral consequences. 1. Doing what ought not to be done. This refers to impulsive or harmful actions, lying, cheating, aggression, neglect of ethical standards. Scientifically, these actions often stem from short-term thinking, emotional reactivity, or poor self-regulation. These behaviors are shown to result in increased stress and anxiety, cognitive dissonance, social consequences like loss of trust, internal regret, leading to lower self-esteem and even depression. Not doing what ought to be done. Surprisingly, psychology suggests that people often regret inaction more than wrong actions. In behavioral terms, this relates to the bystander effect, where people fail to act when action is morally needed. Omission bias. We justify inaction because it feels less wrong than wrong action. Regret of missed opportunities, shown in studies to linger longer than guilt over mistakes. Neuroscience also shows that courageous action strengthens the brain's capacity for empathy, clarity, and resilience. Avoidance, on the other hand, often wires the brain for fear and paralysis. So from a scientific lens, moral inaction may be more damaging over time than direct but mistaken action. Just as the quote says, it leads to ruin. Let's bring this wisdom to life through a small story. There was once a kingdom ruled by a fair but aging king. Before his death, he summoned his 2 sons and said, "Each of you will be given a task. The one who succeeds will be my heir." To the elder son he said, "There is a river polluted by waste. Clean it for the sake of the people." To the younger he said, "The old dam is weakening. Repair it before the rains come." The elder son, thinking only of appearances, ordered laborers to paint the riverbanks. He invited bards to sing of his effort, but the water remained foul. The younger son, though aware of the danger, delayed the dam repair. Tomorrow, he said each day until the monsoon came. The river's filth bred disease. The dam broke. Floods swept villages away. The elder son did what should not be done, vanity over service, and caused suffering. The younger failed to do what should be done, neglecting a known duty, and brought ruin. Neither was chosen. The crown went to a minister who had quietly fed the hungry and sealed the dam himself. How this applies to everyday life. We encounter this truth daily, in small and large ways. Consider these examples. At work. Taking shortcuts to meet a deadline might give immediate results, but could damage your reputation. Trouble. Failing to speak up about a serious issue, like a financial error or ethical breach, could destroy your credibility later. Ruin. In relationships. Saying hurtful words in anger, what should not be done, may lead to a fight. Trouble. But withholding love, avoiding difficult conversations, or not apologizing what should be done, can hollow out a relationship over time. Ruin. In personal growth. Overindulgence, procrastination, or addictions may bring temporary comfort, but long-term health issues. Yet failing to pursue your passion, neglecting your talents, or never stepping outside your comfort zone can make life feel meaningless. In society, supporting harmful systems or turning a blind eye to injustice courts collective trouble. But apathy, silence, and failure to act on behalf of what's right can eventually lead to societal ruin. This quote is a profound moral compass. It says, "It is not enough to merely avoid doing harm. We must also have the courage to do good." Avoiding mistakes may keep you out of trouble, but only responsible, wise action brings purpose and peace. It reminds us that right action matters, and that failure to rise to what is asked of us, by conscience, by life, by love, is more dangerous than any mistake we might make in trying. Thank you for joining this exploration of wisdom. If this message resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe for more insights into timeless truths. Remember, every great journey begins with a single step, and every great idea begins with a strong foundation. See you in the next episode.